Well, hello friends, and welcome back to the cabin. I'm walking down here. My son said, you know, Dad, you mentioned having all of those logs on video, but you never did show them. I said I didn't. So I'm going to walk down here and show you some of the logs that we have been getting from where Jennifer's building her new house seat at. And I guess you can hear them over there working as well. Anyway, then we're going to take a look at the solar system. So hopefully you can see this pile right here. So this pile that's behind me right now is about 20 feet long and right at about chest high. Those end ones right there is some tops out of a big, huge white pine that I took down way up in the woods that we were afraid might fall on the house at some point. So now we'll walk down to the other end and take a look at some of those others. Now a lot of these can only be used as posts, but then there are some in there where I will be able to get some 2x10s, 2x12s, 2x6s, but it's just too much to go to waste. A lot of material like that would basically just end up on the brush pile whenever they're building a house seat, and I just couldn't see with all the outbuildings that we need to build a homestead with that for those to go to waste. So I basically took off about a week and have been logging as they have been designing the perimeter of her new house seat down there. Anyway, we're going to walk down here the other end and take a look at some of these other logs. So I got quite a few posts stacked up here. A lot of them are crooked, but I do a lot of building with crooked wood. But yeah, there's a lot of posts there for building in the future. Got some of the black walnut stacked up right in here with a cedar post, and then this big one on the bottom, that is a white oak. And then over here I've got some others that are pine and poplar mixed. This one right here was one tree that you see, the biggest logs right there, and then the other two that I pointed out over on that other pile, that all came out of one tree. That was a huge white pine, and you can see it's pretty premium wood. Anyway, I got some more pine, I got some poplar mixed in right there. That just makes it easier for me to get to in the winter time, because I didn't know if I would be milling any more during the winter than that right there. But because it might be just a little bit slick, and I didn't want to try to be up in that hollow grabbing logs and backing out of there where Jennifer's going to be building her new house and actually sliding. So that's the reason that I stacked quite a few down here, to be able to get me through the winter until we could possibly get some gravel maybe up in that hollow. I don't know if we're going to do that or not, but we'll just have to wait and see. But yeah, you want to try to save as much as you can when they're doing clearing like that. If you've got a chainsaw and a way to move the logs, or possibly you could get them to set them to the side for you, because there's a lot of money in material like that. I mean, go to the lumber yard and pick up just a pickup truck full of lumber, see how much you pay. So I've got, gosh, I don't know how, thousands of board feet right there. But anyway, that big log or that big tree, I'm just curious to see how well this new sawmill is going to do, because it can cut 35.5 inches wide. So that big log, as long as we can turn it, I think we'll be able to mill it. So like I said, the cost of materials is really high. I've got 6 2x4s right here that are 10 feet long. I've got 13 2x6s that are 10 feet long. And I've got 4 2x6s that are 16 feet. I got 7 pieces of unistrut right here, and a box of screws, and a box of stainless steel screws as well. That price was right at $550. So lumber isn't cheap. That's the reason I took a week off and went down there to try to do as much logging as I could and save as much material as I could, even those posts, you know, because you got to have posts, right? And you know, I may just skin the bark of them off of them and use them like I did these right here, make them round, or put them on the sawmill and make, you know, 6x6s or 4x4s out of them. But the result is still the same. You've got to have lumber to build with, right? And so we have saved a lot of money by going down there, spending some extra time and logging. Although I didn't get anything done on the solar, but we saved a considerable amount of money. But this is to build the other solar array that I've got going on down there. And then what I'm going to have to do is start digging ditches, one over to the cabin and then one down there to the solar hut, or to the solar array to start with. And then we'll actually do the workshop at a later date. But I've got to get this cabin hooked up before winter time. So this right here is what I used to dig the trench for the gas line. And so I'm going to try to use this again to dig the ditches to put the conduit in for the electrical line. Now, if you remember right, my tractor came with Category 1 equipment on it, although I think it's pretty powerful, so it could probably stand some Category 2 equipment. So that top link, the last time that I used it over here on this gas line, we actually broke it. So we'll see if we can break the next one. If we do, then like I said, I want to get a Category 2, and I'll probably get one that's a little bit longer, because what I had to do was unscrew the thread some. So I might go ahead and leave this tilted just a little bit in order to keep from possibly doing that again. But I think the next one, like I said, will be Category 2 and maybe just a little bit longer. That way I don't have to let out so many threads. You can see this outer pier here where this little mini hut's going to sit. So we got about 40 feet to dig over to the cabin, and I'm going to go right up underneath the porch and right into the corner of the building right there, and it's just a straight shot over to my power panel. So that's the first ditch that we'll dig, and I'm going to go ahead and put in probably a 2 or 3 inch conduit right there in case we decide to pull anything else in later. And then the ones that are going to go down to the solar panels, we'll have probably a 50-foot run down to there. I'll probably come right in here with that subsoiler, stick it in the ground. We're going to dig right down to that front post right there, and then I'll turn it and go to that back post. That way I can come down the back post, right across over into the front, pick up those other two, and come right up in here, because our inverter does have 2 ports for input. So we'll have one solar set or gang on one and one gang on the other. But that is the next thing. I think what I'm going to do is put a couple of conduits in here, just in case we ever decide to do anything down there later on. The conduit will already be in place. But I've had to kind of stop doing anything from this, like I said, working down there with them. But the thing that comes next is to get this pipe turned up into where the building is going to be. That way when I start building the foundation, I can build around it and I don't have to try to work other things up in there. But yeah, I think that this is going to work out. And some folks would probably say, well, go get you a ditch witch. Well, I can, you know, it just costs money, right? And I don't mind doing a little bit of shoveling, and I've already got that subsoiler, so why not use it if I've got it, right? So I'm not trying to find the easy way out, I'm trying to find the cheapest way out, because digging ditches, it is good exercise. Probably after I get the solar hooked up too, I'm going to have to extend this roof on out. I'm probably going to bring it about 3 feet. So that will put the roof line probably right around in here somewhere, instead of it being right back here. That would put my roof line right about like this, about 3 feet away from that, because this is just underneath the edge of the roof right there. But we didn't plan on getting a new sawmill, you know. This was actually built to house the other sawmill, which it would have fit in there just perfect and been plenty of overhang. But this one is 8 feet wide, so that made it extend out this way just a little bit farther than normal. And because when we bought it, you know, we found out that we were going to make a deal with Wood Miser, and that this sawmill, I came down here and I was doing some measuring, and I called my son and I told him, I said, oh my goodness, it will just fit, you know. And it does fit, right? It just doesn't fit real good, because like I said, it wasn't built to house this machine. But it's not a problem to extend that roof. I probably won't keep it at the same angle. I will probably just raise it up a little bit, but it'll still have some slope to it. That way I don't have any issues with getting in here. Of course, I think I'll still be above that bottom beam, but I would just feel safer if I kind of lifted it up a little bit, or feel better about it, I should say. That way if I had, you know, to lift up anything, that I would have plenty of room. But that's another thing that I'm going to have to do, but I think I'm going to wait till I get the solar in, because, you know, I can still come down here and mill lumber. The only thing is I have to kind of cover the computer up like this in case it rains. But yeah, no, the sawmill's doing fine where it's at. And I am back to blowing dust back on the ground, because it's just so much easier to pick it up that way. Some other comments that we've had is, why don't we hook up a dust collection system on this? Well, that's going to require power, and I would rather have power at my cabin rather than powering a dust system up here. Now, I'm not really sure how much that cabin is going to use. If we figure out we've got quite a bit of supply left, then that might be something we do in the future. But I do have the bucket for the tractor, and I've got a nice shovel, and it only takes, like I say, about 10 or 15 minutes, and that is after I've probably milled, you know, maybe 3 logs, because it does collect pretty fast. But it's really easy to just throw it in that tractor bucket and get rid of it, and then it doesn't cost me anything, right? So yeah, we've just been trying to save on areas that we could until we kind of get everything running, and then hopefully kind of fine-tune it from there. But you know, we'll just have to see, because like I said, I don't mind picking it up with a shovel, none at all. And the bucket system that I tried using, it would come out there with such force that it would just create a big dust cloud, and I was walking in all the time, and I said, you know, that's not good. So I took the bucket off. We're back to blowing it on the ground. Everything's cool. Well, I got all of that lumber stacked in the workshop down here, but I'll tell you what, this bed extension that I made has really been the trick, because not only do I haul lumber with it, but I also haul all of the metal that goes up on the roof, and I don't have to haul the trailer around anymore either. So that's really been nice. All I did was took a 4-foot piece of, I think that was 1.5 inches, it might be 2 inch. Yeah, I think it's 2 inch. Square tubing. We welded this upright, and then the T on the top. I put a 2x4 right there with some outdoor carpeting, and it is the same level as the bed right here. And 16-foot material only hangs off 4 feet, so there's plenty of support for it right here. And yeah, I mean, it has saved me. Now I can't haul everything, but just smaller loads, I just throw this in the back. I wait till I get into the lumber yard to actually put it on, but then I put it on, load my lumber on, bring it home and unload it. It is really, really handy. So it works just kind of like this. Pulls right out, and I just take it and throw it in the back of my bed. Like that. And I go to the lumber yard. And when I get home, take it off, put it up. Really, really handy. Well, so this array right here, all it lacks is having the panels mounted on there, which we're waiting on the hardware, and it's been a little difficult to find. We did find some hardware that was right about $20 a piece, and we're just not going to pay that. But then we found another one that sells like a bag of, it was either 4 or 8 for like 30 bucks or something like that. That's the one that we're trying to get. That was actually an electrical supply outlet. So we're hoping that we can get those, I think it was next week, because they were on back order. Then I can actually start cut the tops off the front row and start building that, but not before, like I was saying earlier, about getting the ditches dug down here. But anyway, friends, thanks so much for stopping by. We certainly do appreciate it, and we look forward to seeing you back up here at the cabin again next time.